If I knock this dude out, because all it takes is one punch in the right spot, this will be the biggest upset in the history of sports. Ever!
Hello, and what was that? Please, for those of you who stayed up until 6 a.m. to watch Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather, hang your head in shame. You know who you are. The school kids will have spent Monday morning sitting there geography exam with bloodshot eyes and a pain in their skull, feeling like you just ingested 7 hamburgers up your nose. And for the adults out there, the actual grown-ups, imagine having to explain to your boss that you didn't make it into the office for 9 a.m. because you spent the previous night watching a boxing freak show. Do you think that excuse is really gonna fly? Your boss would probably be close to punching you in the face. Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. This was masqueraded as a boxing fight. Lads, wake up, this wasn't even a sport. Don't be fooled. Just because both men ended an 8-round boxing fight with sweat dripping off their bodies, it doesn't make this a sport. Good Christ, I'm pretty sure if I chased a front-yard pig around a ring for 20 minutes, I'd wind up in a sweat. It doesn't mean you'll soon be seeing me do that at the Olympics. This was the fast food of the boxing community. Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. The only way you could market this was to get Logan to talk a load of nonsense about maybe being able to pull off the greatest miracle in all of sport.
Is there a chance? Just a slight chance.
I am 75% convinced Floyd's gonna come with a straight 2. I'm gonna block my face and hit him with the hardest hook he's ever felt in his life, because he's never faced a guy who's 35 to 40 pounds heavier than him and as quick and strong as me. I'm gonna knock him out. I'm gonna get on the ropes. I'm gonna raise my hand to celebrate.
Even at his dad blubbering like an X Factor contestant.
You're doing that people aren't doing, you know, and it's savage. It's your fight game. You don't quit, and because of that, like, you've already won a million times. But dude, when you win this fight, I'm gonna bawl my eyes out. Listen, if you let go and you give everything you got, that motherfucker has no chance. No chance. He has no chance.
I'm sorry, he's got no chance. Based on what, Greg? I know you love your son, but I'm sorry. There's the same guy who had 2 chances to beat KSI and took neither. So coming up against a boxer with a 50-0 record, we had all this miracle talk 4 years ago when Conor McGregor was in town. Do you remember, Logan? You watched this fight.
Congratulations, guys. I hope to make a piece of content with either you, Floyd Mayweather, or Conor McGregor one day.
Imagine if Logan could go back to his 2017 self and tell him that one day he'd be collabing with Mayweather in a boxing ring on pay-per-view. To be fair, he'd probably also tell him to stop injecting caffeine into his eyeballs and maybe cancel those Christmas flights to Japan. By the trying to hit 20,000 subscribers as soon as possible. If you want to slap that big fat red button, you'd be an absolute legend. Anyway, let's get back into it. But yes, we heard the same stick with McGregor. But don't you tell me Conor actually believed he was going to win. When McGregor lost that fight against Nate Diaz the year before, he then looked like he was going to get sick in his mouth. He looked embarrassed, humbled, but most of all, sick to his stomach and determined not to let this happen again. Look at him, he actually looks like he's just seen his grandmother mauled to death by a Rottweiler. But when he lost to Floyd Mayweather, there were bear hugs and grins in the media, dancing all the way to the bank for the biggest payday of his life. He knew he had no chance of overcoming the greatest defensive boxer of all time in his first and only boxing bout. And here with Logan, I realize you need to sell the fight, but wouldn't it have been refreshing if this guy was just honest with his audience? Don't pretend you were training to win this fight. You weren't. This is not the smile of a guy gutted that months of preparation have failed. This isn't the face of a guy devastated not to land that knockout punch. Praise above, when he was beaten up by KSI, Logan looked on the verge of tears, but not here. Now listen, to be fair, why would he be gutted? Apparently he's just pocketed 14 million pounds for 28 minutes of work, and he's also able to tick off facing the greatest boxer of all time on his bucket list. It's a proud moment for him. But don't trick the world into thinking this was anything other than a cash cow and an ego boost. There was never a chance that Floyd would ever lose this fight. And I'm sorry, gambling companies shouldn't have been taking bets on this either. It would be like popping down the local playground and robbing children of their ice cream cones. It would be like pinching a wallet off a blind man on the bus.
I'm betting on you. I'm putting money on you. End of story.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
I'll make you rich.
I love you.
Listen, Iron Day's True Geordie has had success with betting on the Paul brothers in the past.
I am betting on you. Big money. Big money, bro.
One punch, that's all it took.
That's all it took. There's the data. Wow. That's it. Let the views commence.
Well, there's a difference between betting money on Jake Paul to beat up Ben Askren in a boxing ring, you know, a retired UFC fighter off the back of hip surgery, a fella who looked like he spent 6 weeks eating pizza off the floor. That is not the same as blindly hoping for your mate to somehow beat up Floyd Money Mayweather. I'm almost positive this guy still believes in the tooth fairy. I mean, if he's ever stuck for cash again, he'll probably just punch himself in the mouth and hope to get an extra $5 for the bus. To be fair, it's true Jordy, he probably hasn't rode the bus since 2012. But honestly lads, boxing fights are usually based on merit, right? Yes, Mayweather versus McGregor was bordering on a freak show, but even then there was a level of interest because the Crumlin man was at the time a worldwide superstar, but also he knocked out an unbeaten world champion like Jose Aldo in less time than it takes to butter a slice of toast. He was hands down one of the greatest strikers on the planet with a deadly left paw. You could have made the argument that Mayweather had never faced this level of threat before in his life, and that all it takes is one deadly punch. But the truth is that his footwork in a boxing ring was weak, and he had the gas tank of a grandmother with menstrual cramps. But with Logan versus Mayweather, did he have striking power? I mean, when he fought KSI, he left his right hook at home and blamed that defeat on a sneeze.
I'm sick. I woke up sick. I've been sick for the past 3 days. The first thing I did this morning was sneezed 3 times.
Sorry, 3 sneezes. I'm sorry, but weight classes exist for a reason. There should never be a disparity of 34 pounds. That is nearly 3 stone, 34 pounds. That is the weight of a cinder block, or 7 computers, an adult fox, 140 sticks of butter. Logan Paul is a full 4-year-old child heavier than Floyd Mayweather. What is this, honestly? Listen, the actual fight, don't get me wrong, Logan did well, because it would have been very easy for this man to totally choke under the pressure. He's not a fighter, and despite all the macho talk and diss tracks, he's only ever fought one guy before and lost to a lad named after something on Halo. Finally, Floyd Mayweather under such an intense spotlight, most mere mortals would have crumbled, so fair play, credit where it's due. And in the first round, he was the aggressor, coming out and trying to rattle Mayweather with a flurry of punches. In the second round, he was throwing a few jabs before Floyd finally woke up and started coming out of his shell in the 4th and 5th rounds. But listen, for those of you who think that Logan truly had him rattled and was making Mayweather look old, trust me, oh I promise you, this was written into the script. Listen, I'm not saying this was Hollywood fused with WWE and that both men had to practice their lines like something from The Notebook. No, but Mayweather's goal was to drag this out to 8 rounds. He was literally holding Logan's hand and dancing him to the finish line. It's a bit like when as a child you play football with your dad and he lets you win. I mean, wake up. I'm pretty sure a 9-year-old child in his X-Men pajamas isn't actually able to score a hat-trick against a 50-year-old man. I mean, wake up, lads. Mayweather sat off Logan. He danced around the ring. He didn't want to knock out Logan after 30 seconds. Because otherwise, what other social media star is he gonna convince to step into the ring with him? He sees the Paul brothers as the easiest paycheck of his life. For 50 million, sure, he'll welcome Logan into the ring. Sure, he'll let him leave the ring with a massaged ego and a big fat smile on his face. Cause if you notice, Logan even said after it that he wanted to do it a second time. It's a bit like if you're the owner of a roller coaster. You want to give people a scare, but you want to keep bringing them back. And they're not gonna do that when they see their little brother get guillotined in the first minute. But Logan, he didn't avoid a knockout because he worked his nuts off for 8 months. No, he avoided a knockout because Mayweather let him live. If Floyd instead just battered blood out of his ears within 20 seconds, then he won't be able to lure any other TikTokers or YouTubers into a ring a year down the line. I mean, do you think the likes of Bryce Hall wants to be an unconscious meme on Reddit? The fact Logan Paul was able to have people actually rooting for Floyd Mayweather kind of shows how many people were opposed to this fight. Good gracious, there were even boos from the crowd. They were desperate to see this social media star sprawled across the canvas, not to be seen with his arm in the air and celebrate what was a light sparring session. Some people are trying to tell me that Mayweather was taking this seriously, that he simply wasn't able to put Logan Paul to sleep. I'm sorry, I don't care how old he is, I don't care how heavy Logan is, it's Floyd Money Mayweather. I'm sorry, but if there's a boxing fight with no judges and no winner, stay the hell away from it. Clearly it's in the script for there to be no knockout. Nobody wanted a winner here. It was just a sickly money spinner. This was a £50 pay-per-view fight with no winner. Who pays that? That's like paying top dollar to go to the cinema to watch a movie with no ending. I mean, come on. Whoever watched this, wake up. Anyway, that's it. Let me know in the comments what you... If you pay for this fight, please just let me know in the comments. What were you thinking? But maybe you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of the fight. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.